Hi there, Gary here again, and in this video we're going to look at hesitancy. It's a second phase subject and it goes along with progress and position. I'll deal with the other two in a separate video because the videos have to be quite short, but the hesitancy one, first of all we'll look at the definition. So when a pupil is being hesitant, it means that the car isn't moving but it should be. And there's lots of different examples of that. For example, at a junction, a T-junction, if they've got a gap and they should be going but they're not going, or if they're at traffic lights and the lights have changed to green, and they're taking a while to move away in a queue of traffic. Any time when the car should be moving but it's not moving. And if you just compare that against your own driving and think to yourself, well, I would have been going then you've spotted the fault. A trap that a lot of trainees fall into when they're teaching this or dealing with it as a second phase subject is that they don't spot a fault because they think of the examiner as a pupil, which obviously is correct, but they look at the pupil and think that they can get away with certain things that a driver wouldn't get away with. So you really want to look at it from a driver's perspective. And an example of that is if you come up to a T-junction, you wouldn't always put your handbrake on. You would be ready to go and then decide if you needed the handbrake. But in a role play situation, what the examiner's probably going to do is they'll come up to a T-junction and the first thing they'll do is put the handbrake on. Now that isn't what you would do, so don't accept it. It's not what a driver should be doing. So again, don't accept it. Look at it as a fault and investigate it. Spot it, find out the cause of it, the analysis. Do they understand about why they've put the handbrake on, why they shouldn't need to put the handbrake on all the time, how they can prevent putting the handbrake on, particularly if it's uphill, by balancing the biting point just as they come to a stop. So, you know, think of it from a driver's point of view and don't kind of let them off with things that you think, well, it's just because they're a pupil and they can't control the car yet. Don't accept it, you know, it is a fault and you will need to cover it and deal with it. So, any time when the car stops but should be moving is a hesitancy situation that you would need to deal with. There's not an awful lot more that I can say about it really, apart from the fact that you need to find out the cause of it. Don't just spot the fault and then try and fix it, but find out what the pupil's knowledge and understanding is about that particular event. So, for example, if it is a T-junction where they keep putting the handbrake on, you really want to find out why they're putting the handbrake on. And sometimes it's as simple as asking them, why did you put the handbrake on? But sometimes you just got to go a little bit deeper into the analysis. So investigate that, and then once you've found out the cause of it, then you can start to fix it. And quite often it's something as simple as just a misconception. They might have been told by somebody that they should always put the handbrake on when it's a junction, or they might think that because it's uphill they need the handbrake to prevent it from rolling back, so they don't even know about the catching the biting point just as you get to the junction, so you can hold it there while you have a look and then decide if you need time for the handbrake. The analysis is important in order to get the correction right, and then once you've got the analysis and you start to correct it, remember to go back through some guidance to begin with to help them to get it right, and then move it back over to them prompted and then back to independent. Because it's a second phase situation, they should pick it up quite quickly, but only if you'll give them that help. It's no use just telling them next time do this and then expecting that to happen. As you come to a similar situation, so let's go back to the T-junction again. As you come to another T-junction, just remind them that this time they're going to leave the handbrake, slip it into first just before they stop, and then balance the biting point to hold it still if it's on a hill, while they have a look, and then decide if there's time to put the handbrake on, or if they've got a gap they can go. So once you've guided that, then the next time, if they've done that correctly, you can then prompt it and just ask them a question on approach to remind them what they're going to do. And then to transfer that into independent, then you would say, well, you've done very well with that so far, so do you feel like you can do that on your own from now on? And generally speaking, if you've done your job correctly and they've picked it up while you've guided and prompted, then they'll usually say, yeah, I'll do that on my own now. And they will do it, and they're not going to be inconsistent like a pupil would. If you've done that, they'll get rid of that fault and it'll never come back again. So at the end of the second phase, when they turn around and say, how have I done? How am I going to pass my test? If you've dealt with all of the faults that you've seen correctly, then you can give them some positive feedback, but remember to ask questions as well, just to make sure that they've remembered everything that you've taught them that they didn't know in the first place. So for example, with the biting point, if you ask them a question about is it always necessary to put the handbrake on at a T-junction, then they should come back to you with a better answer of, well, no, I'll slip it into first, find the biting point, and then see if I'm going to be stopping for a while and I need a handbrake. So, you know, you've tied it all up from finding the fault to analysing it, to correcting it, and then at the end recapping it or summarising it with a few questions at the end. So that's the hesitation or hesitancy subject. I'm going to look at progress and position in different videos, but I hope that's helped.